and that's where Matt Murphy was around this era. Everything! You know, it's Trivium time. I have run out of ideas for these intros. However, if you are new here, I was not a Trivium fan to begin with. Now I am. Go catch up on all the old videos. For you guys who've been with me since the start of this journey, we are carrying on today with more songs from the Shogun album, and we're going to be looking at the song Down from the Sky. This is an album that I keep coming back to, so I'm so glad that you guys requested that I do this one specifically, because I just want to get this album boxed off and done, because so far it's had some of my favorite material on it. The songs from this album seem to have these surprise left turns and stuff like that, with like really cool riffs buried in there, you know, that you might not know about unless you gave the whole song a listen. However, this album seems to have all those surprises buried in each song, so I'm really looking forward to hearing more of that, hopefully. So, that said, let's continue the Trivium journey. Okay, so this is Trivium, this is Down from the Sky, let's get into it. They don't disappoint, do they? Listen to the intro on that. That's such a setup, and that's why I've come to really appreciate this album. And I get excited every time you guys leave a request for something from this album to react to, because everything's just exciting to my ears. So musically, what I'm hearing there, by the way, is like drone notes on the lead, which is really cool. It's one of my favorite things to do as a guitar player. So if you don't know what a drone note is, it's basically sort of a sustained tone that's happening underneath the movement. So for instance, he's basically just playing notes from the B minor scale there at that point. But then he's got this very useful open B note that he's sort of chiming off of. And that's, you know, again, contextualizing the lead, if you like. I know there's rhythm guitars, obviously contextualizing everything. However, just within your leads, by putting that drone note in, just makes things sound a lot bigger. Listen to the weight from that low. That low 7th string that they've got going on, tuned down to a B. So impactful. You can really hear the drone note. You can really hear it popping out against that climb there, because the notes are obviously going higher. Just makes things so much more interesting. There you go, there's the old minor 6, right? So it's basically Crazy Train, you know. You know, we've talked about this before in these videos, you know, if his root note is here, his first power chord, it's rooting 5. By raising that 5 into a minor 6 note, there's the sense of lift and urgency, right? Down to like, when you go to that chord, you're sort of like in a Lydian spot right there, which is where you're really sort of like pulling the heartstrings, and whether they're going off of that note or not, which would be sort of classed as a sharp 4 idea against the root. You know, that chord allows for like a Lydian modulation, and that's where, like I said, it really starts to pull on your heartstrings. You know, when guitar players start tuning things down, it's only a matter of time before they find the old opens, 10s, and 12s. With a root note in between, because it just works so well for good punchy single note riffs. I really love the movement and the progression there. Something like that, anyways. That is a very, very epic chorus right there. If anything, it's one of the most hardest hitting choruses that I've heard from them, actually. I wanna take that back a little bit. Somebody did mention that they still play this one live, and I can really, really see why, because it's just got that epic sing-along chorus going on with it. Much unlike the new single, which is just a pure rager. You know, I don't think the point of that song is to have this big sort of anthemic sing-along, you know, hit you in the feels chorus. It's one of those where it's like, yeah, we need a chorus, but you know, it's not really the point of the song. It's not really the hook. The hook of that song is just stupid fast, aggressive riffs and technicality, you know. But this one's got that real good build up in it, and you know, there's a lot of release. You know, there's nothing worse than a song that just keeps building and building and building, and it's like, and there's no payoff. You know what I mean? But this is one of the stronger choruses that I've heard from these guys, and to me, that's kind of what Ascendancy was lacking in a way. And you guys are all gonna pop off at me in the comments, because I know that Ascendancy Supremacy is still very much alive in the Trivium world, if you like, and I'll never take anything from that album. It's just not for me. And if you've been following this series, if you know, well, you know. But yeah, for me, there's a lot of strong riffage on that album, but it just doesn't seem to have those big choruses which they went on to later on achieve, like on Shogun or on Sin in the Sentence and stuff like that. So yeah, cool. Another cool Trivium chorus. I've been dying to get to this album, like all the rest of it. I've like heard a couple of songs off of it, so I'm so happy that we've finally got to go back today. That's really good, isn't it? That's really cool. You know, it's got technicality to it, but it's got this kind of soaring thing going on with it. You know, it kind of flies in the way it feels with the drums and everything. And I like this album as well because it's got this big sort of wall of sound thing going on with it as well. You know, everything sounds very layered, and I love a big, full, layered production. That's one right there where I can imagine there's so much audience participation, you know, especially with like stripping out to like the bass and the drums taking over quite a bit. You know, that's one where you can kind of imagine him stepping back from the microphone and letting everybody, you know, join in and stuff like that. It's a huge audience participation song. And that's where Matt Heavy was around this era. He's vocally, you know, around this era, yeah, everything. You know, it had this, like, he was sort of like, sounds like he's trying to shout over a wall. Everything's sort of, you know, he's really pushing. You know, knowing his journey now, you know, now I've made my way pretty much through, you know, a lot of the albums and have listened to the progression. You know, I can look back on all this fondly, because, you know, he moved on with his vocals several times on every album. And somebody made the comment that on every album, Matt's like, this isn't even my final form yet, which I thought was so apt. And what I like about this band is you can hear the push on every album. You can hear the chase, you can hear what they're trying to achieve, and not that they're not achieving it or anything like that, but you can really hear them pushing themselves. You can really hear Matt like really going for it with his vocals and really trying to be the best that he can be. Everything just sound it I can't explain it. Maybe you guys know what I'm on about, or maybe I'm just rambling. But you know, you can really feel the fight on each album and the push and the drive, and yeah, I can certainly hear it here. This is interesting as well because for a Shogun song, this has been very verse, chorus, and pre-chorus and whatever. Even though it's still quite a long song-ish. Long by today's standards, 5 minute 34. But this hasn't done the whole progressive movement or anything like that. And a lot of people have said this is very much more of a singly one. But, you know, I guess if this is a single, it's a single done very, very well. Because by no means is it, you know, like the, you know, oh, that's the radio-friendly track. Absolutely not. So that chorus idea right there has the Lydian idea going on with the leads, you know? The way to shine with modes and get the most out of them, especially over a chord progression, is everything's in the moment, right? So the progression is basically what? B to a G. Okay? So, you know, in that moment that you're on the E, those leads are going to have that natural minor Aeolian sound that we've all come to know and love. Trivium, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Bullet My Valentine, all the bands. But when he goes down to that C note right there, and a lot of bands have done this, you know, Maiden comes to mind, Bullet definitely comes to mind, even Metallica. When you're on that G note right there, you stick that tendency tone in, which is basically the sharp 4 idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. That's why you love that modulation. How many times have you seen a progression that goes... Yeah, it's right the way across the metalcore genre. The reason why you love that so much is it's got so much tension in it. Especially when you slam in that sharp 4 idea. 1, 2, 3, perfect fourth, sharpen it. That's a sharp 4. Now that's got a diminished kind of sound on its own, but because Lydian is kind of like a major mode and it would be over a major chord, it's a lot more emotive rather than just a straight diminished chord idea. So I'm getting quite theoretically deep here, and it's probably an hour's worth of lesson crammed into a couple of minutes here. But that's why we all love that. For as long as he sat on that chord in this key, those notes, they're gonna sound extra sort of epic and sometimes sad, I guess, you know? I really hope you guys are enjoying this Trivium reaction, and here's your quick reminder to hit the like button and subscribe if you're new here. Also, I want to take a quick moment to mention my Bullet for My Valentine guitar lesson library. If you've fallen prey to bad Bullet for My Valentine tabs in the past and there's a little bit of confusion there and you want to learn their songs properly, head over to my Bullet for My Valentine guitar lesson library, which is over on my Patreon page. This is my ever-growing series of Bullet for My Valentine guitar lessons where I break down all their songs and teach you all the guitar parts. Members of the library can also request what songs I do, so if you head on over there and you don't see the song that you want to learn, get yourself signed up, put your request in, and you'll get full priority on what I do. The lessons are also available for one-off purchase on my Patreon shop as well, so you can just buy the lessons outright rather than signing up monthly if that's what you prefer. Members also get access to the isolated stems for each song that I do, so that's guitars, bass, drums, and vocals. They also have access to my quick lessons series, which are more general guitar lessons where I share my love for guitar theory and other things. So yeah, this is 100% the best way that you can support this channel other than hitting like and subscribe, of course. So if you want some Bullet for My Valentine guitar lessons, they're in-depth and as accurate as I can possibly get them, head over to my Bullet for My Valentine guitar lesson library and see what's over there. Oh. Wow. You never really know what to expect on this album, do you? This is the album that takes all those quick left turns, you know, and yeah, you know, as upbeat as that chorus was and whatnot, you do need that reminder, I guess, you know, of just who you're listening to, if some would consider this to be, you know, too much of a singly kind of song, if you like, but, you know, that really came out of nowhere. And yeah, it's the point in the song now where things would generally start to change. But that riff kind of came out of nowhere. Crunch. Cha-cha-cha-cha. Something like that. That's quite the riff, that, isn't it? It's very Metallica. Love that. Imagine that with Alex's drumming. What an album we could have had. Well, Shogun is still good, but now you guys have turned me into a bit of a Trivium snob, because there ain't no drumming like Alex's drumming, right? The elements that he's brought to that band, the life and zest and passion. You know, he is 100% the drummer they always needed. And no disservice to this guy. You know, you guys might love him. I don't know who he is. But I just think that, you know, going back to these songs for him, you know, learning the back catalogue, they must have very much been like a blank canvas for him to keep the general idea, but to like really just go mental and make his own, you know, which is cool. Turn it up. Oh man, anything that does that. Anything that does that with the trem picking, I am in. I bet that middle section hits like a train live. I think it's interesting as well. I'm not too sure on that sort of movement on the end there, but this whole idea they have of, you know, not tuning into like your traditional drop where everything's sort of like barred along the bottom with your power chords. It really forces you to use your traditional power chord shape along the bottom. You know what I mean? And not just get used to being so lazy and just barring everything. So just being in this tuning, even on a 6th string, has really brought it's really educated me. And I would say these guys have, you know, taught me how to use a 7 string if I had one, you know, rather than just buying one just to go. If we're doing that, I'd literally rather tune a 6 string down. But for this sort of stuff, where the 7 strings are actually necessary, that would make me want to get one. Wow. 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 I love how there was just like a pause and it's just... Duh. You know, it's really funny because B, you know, B standard, drop B, whatever, just B in general, it's not considered to be a low tuning by today's standard. You know, I mean, my EP is down in drop A and G sharp, and I'm sometimes hearing that and I'm thinking, you know, oh, maybe I should go lower, you know, because I'm listening to other bands like Fit for a King who do like F, and then you got all these other bands coming through who do like drop E and, well, or double drop E or double drop D. But it's great, you know, because maybe you get a little bit desensitized to such low tunings. However, this still sounds super low. You know what I mean? When they hit that low B string and you can hear it like flapping against the fretboard. So yeah, it's really cool to hear these low tuned guitars, but still have them sound as impactful as they're supposed to sound, right? You know, I don't think these guys get enough credit. I know they do as guitar players, but you know, with the 7 string thing, I suppose Korn were one of the first bands after Steve Vai put together the Ibanez with the 7 string. You know, Korn really sort of maximized on being able to tune down low, and then a load of other bands followed and stuff like that. But again, what I'm hearing from that style of music is a lot of ragging on that bottom string, you know, not a lot of technicality that goes across the fretboard, you know, not taking anything from Korn because I like Korn. But, you know, in terms of using everything the guitar has to offer, the instrument itself, you know, I think Trivium really brought a lot to the 7 string realm, and I have never, ever, ever, ever wanted to have a 7 string, even when I had one for a very brief period until now. These guys have made me curious about it. But yeah, wow, what a song. It's great. What can I say? You know, we've broke these songs down. You know, if you've watched this series and seen my journey with this band, everything that was in there was just precisely what I expected to hear from them, especially from this era of Trivium, which is turning out to be one of my favorites. And this song almost feels kind of like a bit of a blueprint for what came on The Sin and the Sentence. I don't know if you guys would agree with me on that one. You know, bear in mind, this is my first time hearing everything, and I've been trying to really get into the sort of mindset of each album and where the band were at for each album. And what they were trying to go for. But that song right there kind of feels like what was to come on that album, albeit that album came a lot later. But yeah, fantastic suggestion, and I'm so glad that we finally got round to doing another song from this album. And I want to keep reacting to this album, but I did promise you guys that I want more of What the Dead Man Say. So yeah, I've got certain songs that I want to do specifically coming up, so feel free to leave your comments down below and your requests. There's a lot of you guys asking for the Crusade, and they keep saying, you know, you skipped over the Crusade. Sort of. We listened to some of it on the live stream. So yeah, maybe we will get to some of the songs from that album eventually, but right now I'm kind of enjoying Shogun. I'm enjoying What the Dead Men Say. I'm enjoying The Sin of the Sentence. Certainly enjoyed what was the Phalanx from the last album, Caught the Dragon. Want to listen to more of that album as well. So yeah, lots of songs to get through. Let's just take them one at a time, but obviously leave your comments down below on what you want to see me do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction video. Thank you so much for sticking around if you made it this far in. As always, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you're new here. If you want to support me on Patreon, the link is in the description for you guys. And if you want one-on-one online guitar lessons with me, the link is in the description as well. So yeah, I guess that's the video. This has been Trivium. You guys have been awesome. I've been Nas92. And until next time, I will see you guys the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.